Rudy Giuliani, a personal attorney for former President Donald Trump, said he is suffering a tremendous burden because he couldn't stop President Joe Biden from being elected. Let's listen.
The guy doesn't know what he's doing. Half the time he calls a President Harris.
I don't want a senile president, and I don't want a corrupt president.
Well, the American people voted for him. They knew he was corrupt, but at least half of them knew he was corrupt. I wasn't able to get the message to the other half. And the tremendous burden I feel as a result of that. I mean, I'm the one who uncovered Biden's corruption. Nobody knew about it.
You can't put it all on your shoulders.
Nobody
That's ridiculous.
knew about it. Nobody talked about it until I uncovered it in the winter. Please remember when it was. The winter of 2018.
Poor Rudy. He's really having a hard time. And you can really see the impact that the weight of this heavy burden has had on him if you look at this picture. Let's pull that up. He's honestly, it's just melting him. The pressure of the heavy burden he's carrying. Okay, but some more fun little tidbits from that podcast that he hosts. From Raw Story on his Sunday radio show, Giuliani complained that Biden does not, quote, know what he's doing. I don't want a senile president, and I don't want a corrupt president, his co-host Dr. Maria Ryan said, which is a bit ironic considering which senile and corrupt president Rudy works for. But so the woman speaking in the podcast who assured Rudy that he can't put all of that on his own shoulders is apparently his former mistress and longtime girlfriend, Dr. Maria Ryan. So I was pretty curious when I heard the word doctor used in reference to her. I wanted to know what kind of doctor this woman was. So like the Republicans, I did my own research and found this out. From Heavy, Ryan holds a doctorate in philosophy from Warren National University that she attained in 2009, according to online records. WNU is an unaccredited and controversial university that has been described as a, quote, diploma mill. So she uses her quote unquote doctor title oftentimes on their podcast to talk about COVID and deny COVID or talk about the vaccine. So a lot of great things coming out of that. Dan, I have to say, I haven't seen you speak out about the heavy burden that Rudy Giuliani has singularly had to shoulder when it comes to exposing Joe Biden's corruption. I want to know why I haven't heard more from you about this massive issue in our society.
I mean, I'm mostly impressed that Rudy Giuliani just had the whole veil lifted on Joe Biden's conspiracy to take the 2020 election and steal it in 2018 before the Democrats even knew that he was going to be the Democratic nominee for president. Like what? Like nothing Rudy Giuliani has said, even when he's referring back to the total seasons landscaping sort of like fiasco that happened right after the election, but he has ruined any credibility, I mean, like whatever he had left from being mayor of New York during 9/11. And he has used that to, shoulder the burden of carrying water for the most disrespected president perhaps in American history, next to Andrew Jackson, or Andrew Johnson. I always forget Jackson Johnson, one of those. But the really wild one, right? Like he's definitely gonna be up there. And so I have no sympathy for Rudy Giuliani at all, except for, I guess, whoever has to deal with the hair dye. That seems like a lot. Also, being a former mistress of Rudy Giuliani, that's a lot of work. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's also, you're not in great company considering that Rudy Giuliani, he married his first cousin, right? So like he's got a great dating history, got a great record there. I just love the self-victimization of these conservatives that he has decided that he has suffered some great hardship because he was the only one exposing Biden's crimes. But funny enough, in this same podcast, he also says that Trump came to him about the documents that he stole, the classified documents, and Rudy told him to keep them, to hold on to them, which is great because just, incriminate yourself further. Rudy, just a great look for you. I mean, these people are clowns, but I'm glad that they record their clownish antics so that we can all laugh at them. All right. Any last thoughts on Giuliani?
I know you have a great legal background. I come from a family of lawyers, and I just love the fact that they're going to like the legal clerks, all the law offices there. They're just so, it's easy. It's all recorded. It's right there. You don't have to do much digging. That's great. Like, get your billable hours in where you can still. But like, he just constantly keeps admitting to crimes he doesn't have to admit to. He could just shut up, but he just can't help himself. So I think there could be something broader said about the hubris of these kind of politicians and what they're doing. But at the end of the day, it's looking like Rudy Giuliani is not going to be doing well for himself anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, unless he runs for president and wins on the clout high of working for Trump. So I mean, fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But
Giuliani as vice president, that would rock. That would be so good. I don't know if I could take it. That's a lot of stimulation. Next to maybe George Santos as Secretary of State.
I don't want to think about that. I really don't want to think about that. Although I've come around a little bit on George Santos because he's just so dedicated to lying that you almost kind of have to respect it, right? Like he has lied.
I respect someone who can fail upwards that well. He's really, millennial sort of inspiration in that way. Just fake it till you make it. Honestly, as much as you can.
The ability to lie about things that are easily verifiably false, in my opinion, you got to be a certain type of person to do that, and it takes a certain amount of I don't want to say strength, maybe boldness to do that.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.